Alright, so the mainstream media has long since been known to be a place filled with nothing more than BS, but my god, the past few months have been incredible. It's really time for the mainstream media to just go away. We need to be done with them. It seems impossible for them to be honest or consistent. For example, the double standard between Joe Biden, Trump, or Kavanaugh is staring everyone directly in the face. In all of these situations, you have past accusations, and with Trump and Kavanaugh, you could not switch on CNN or MSNBC for one moment without being pummeled in the face with their covering of these stories, which is fine, it's newsworthy, but now we have the Democratic candidate Joe Biden having these allegations come out against him, similar circumstances, except with Biden we have an actual recording of the accuser's mother talking about this incident, so there actually is a little bit of something here, and what do you hear on CNN or MSNBC? Crickets, nothing. You don't hear about it, or at least not to the extent you'd hear about it if it was Trump or when it was Kavanaugh. It's one of those easy to point out little hypocrisies on the part of the mainstream media. When it's their favored guy, they don't want to touch or talk about the story. When it's someone they don't like, you need to believe all women, and you're never going to hear the end of this from us. It's too obvious how two-faced the mainstream media is. Or how about when Trump says something positive or hopeful, he is criticized for giving unsubstantiated hope in the COVID situation, but when Cuomo says more or less the same thing, the mainstream media falls silent. He might say, hey, you know what, we have some medications that might be helpful. They don't care. It's not really worth mentioning him giving some sort of false hope. When Trump says more or less the same thing, he's lambasted and he's accused of giving false hope to everyone. Or how about the accusations against Trump from the mainstream media on how he handled COVID? On one hand, they say he didn't do anything. He sat idle on his hands and never took it seriously. On the other hand, they've said that his travel ban on China was racist and unnecessary. Well, which is it? Either he went too far or he didn't go far enough. And as I said, they also criticize him for not taking COVID seriously, yet at the same time we have footage of Nancy Pelosi in Chinatown in San Francisco in February out and about talking to the camera saying, see, it's not a big deal. And they're walking around with no masks on. Now again, that was February. I'm neither attacking or defending Trump or Pelosi in this specific regard. Neither of them have a crystal ball. They can't tell the future. And the only people who expect them to be able to tell the future are those who have a very warped view of politicians that seem to regard them as divinely inspired. It's creepy. So the point isn't to attack or defend them. The point is that we have two teams in the U.S., the blue and red team. When they both behave in arguably the same way, the mainstream media will react to both of the actions they take in very different ways. It's not about what is done by the red or blue team. It's about who is doing it. If the red team does it, they're condemned. If the blue team does it, they get a pass. If the red team is accused of something, it's taken very seriously, it needs to be investigated, and it needs to be talked about nonstop. If the blue team is accused of something, it gets swept under the rug, and the mainstream media hopes no one brings it up again. So, like I said, this is not about attacking or defending Trump, Pelosi, Biden, the red team, or the blue team. I am not a member nor a fan of any of them, but this is about the mainstream media and how pathetically obvious it is that they have severe biases that prevent them from giving anyone the facts on the ground without heavily distorting everything. It has to be time for people to dump the mainstream media, to be done with them. And by the way, I resent them as well because, as I've said, I am not Trump's #1 fan, far from it, but they force me to defend him when they so obviously treat him with a double standard. I wish they didn't. I wish they didn't make me defend him. But their insanity leaves me no choice but to point out the obvious ways in which they treat this guy unfairly, and I don't really like having to defend him because of that. But anyway, that is all for now. Please like, subscribe, don't watch CNN, and you all take it easy.